Good day, friends. This is Anand Thakkar, and I am at this great exhibition, which is organized by Jyotirvidya Parisamstha Pune, which is about footprints of Indian astronomy. So, which basically gives us this slide you see right from 500 BC. It covers the complete historical perspective, and towards the end of the exhibition, you will see right till Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan. So it's a very nice exhibition, and a lot of information in a very concise and appropriate way has been graphically presented. For example, this is astronomical map of India, and it basically gives a lot of institution names which are spread across India, and some of them are research centers, and some of them also have educational facilities. For example, this astronomical research institutes in India. So, except for ISRO here, ISRO is purely, as we all know, it's a space research organization. But otherwise, the rest of the institutions here, what you see, they are also having the educational facility. So this slide shows all the renowned astrophysicists of India, and this gives great perspective of so much contribution which has been done by all our different scientists, from C.V. Raman right up till Dr. Jayant Narlikar. There are different subsections in this exhibition. As you see, here basically it shows about the instruments and observatories, and again, right from 1724 AD, like Jantar Mantar, what most of you might have seen at Delhi or Jaipur. So there is a lot of historical perspective, and what is displayed here is a model of a sundial from which you can easily derive the time. Okay, and this is there at Jaipur and Delhi as well at Jantar Mantar. So ancient Indian astronomy, then some authors who have written a lot of books. For example, if you see this different epics or grantha, so authors right in the first block at the top are many of them are unknown actually. So the names of their work are there, but then who has done that is something what we don't know. And some instruments are yantras, and some of which are there at Jantar Mantar, and their background is what this block tells you about.
They are studied, analyzed and inferred by the scientists which are sitting in the Bangalore main station. To answer your yesterday's question, sir, this dimension is 4.5 by 6 feet of the actual, and this is 30 times reduced model of the actual satellite.
Oh, great! That's a great information. Yes. So, friends, I had visited yesterday, and just for making a short clip for all of you, I'm here today again, as ma'am has remembered all my questions, and I had particularly asked her about these solar panels, the sizes. So this is a 30 times reduced model, as she said, and the actual size of this is 6 feet by 4 feet, which is pretty huge. 4.5 maybe, yeah. And they are actually in a folded form, like in different origami techniques, folding techniques are used, and then they are kind of open up. Yeah. So basically, in this block, what ma'am is explaining is about different styles of, for example, X-ray astronomy and observing gamma rays and ultraviolet ray astronomy and all that. So in a very concise way, they have given so much information. So this is about the AstroSat Space Observatory, the model of which we have seen just now. So friends, basically this block gives you a lot of information about different types of telescopes, observatories, and so many things we Indians have done. So here what you see is actually a model of in an observatory which is just about 150 kilometers or less from Pune, which is near Goregaon. It's called as this is project by Ayuka, and this is near this is on the hills near Giravali village near Goregaon, and this is on the top of the hill. This is installed by Ayuka and looked after by Ayuka, and there is more information given about that here. So those who are visiting Pune or closer to Pune, anytime you can probably book times or approach Jyotirvidya Parisamstha for how you can visit these kind of areas where observatories are there. Okay. So this gives about infrared observatories, visible light astronomy, and structure of observatories. So it's a lot of information, but in the most concise way they have tried to give here so that even the school children can understand very well. This shows about an infrared observatory at Mount Abu, which is the tallest mountain in Rajasthan, and I think about the top of the mountain is having elevation of about close to 1100 meters perhaps, and also it mentions about the Nainital campus of Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observational Sciences. This model shown here is all these models are very well done by the expert teams and intelligent volunteers of Jyotirvidya Parisamstha. There is something called as a liquid mirror, and this displays about that. I think the person here is busy, giving a session somewhere else, so maybe we can revisit it later on. And there are again different types of telescopes which are mentioned out here. So this is a lot of information which one has to really grasp it very well. This is for all ages, whatever your age, but you should understand what's happening, and most importantly, so much of contribution done by the Indian scientists.
Hello all, English, Marathi, both languages compatible. So, my name is Avantika. I am a volunteer at Jyotirvidya Parisamstha since many years, and our exhibition for this year is India's Footprints in Astronomy. So you started with the introduction part, right? So therein you saw various observatories which are located in India, and then how ancient astronomy used to be, and how those astronomers used different instruments to actually keep a track of time. Then we also had AstroSort, a space-based observatory. Then we had the liquid mirror telescope, which is again a ground-based observatory to study space and gravity. So now we have a similar space mission. So basically, what's the difference between a space observatory and a space mission? Can anyone tell?
Space observatories are generally on Earth, where space missions are restricted to space.
Yeah, partly correct. But then space observatories is meant to
every star or every missions have got particular.
Yeah, this one is more correct. So we can say three different categories. One is ground-based observatories, which observe the universe and entire stars, galaxies, and everything which is visible in the night sky. But they are located on ground, on Earth's surface. Then we have space observatories, which are located in space and do the same operation as
we have Dr. Atharva with us, who will tell us quickly about the greatness and the achievements of GMRT telescopes. Yes, sir.
So to begin with, GMRT stands for Giant Meter Wave Radio Telescope.
Yeah.
It is the world's largest telescope operating in low frequency radio waves, and it is one of the most important facilities of India.
Okay.
You can see some of the unique features here. It has 45-meter dishes, and there are 30 such antennas spread across 25-kilometer diameter.
Oh, okay.
Now in the future, we are going to add 30 more antennas near the central region, central square, and then there will be 26 more antennas that will be added across the arms.
And these 30 antennas are displayed in the
Yes,
model.
we'll see the model very soon. Now, this consists of a mesh reflector, which is a unique design. It was developed by Govind Swarup and team. The unique feature about this is that it uses
Govind
a,
Swarup.
yes, he's a legendary astronomer. He's no more with us, but he and his team had designed a mesh reflector system, where they, instead of using a solid dish, you use a stainless steel mesh, and because the mesh is very fine, it can very well reflect the radio waves, but it significantly reduces the load or the weight of the dish. It allows the wind to pass through the dish, so the structure is also intact, and it does not undergo too many vibrations or structural losses. Then the processing speed is enormous. We process about 50 gigabytes of data per second, and near real-time processing is done. Then you can see these are some of the important discoveries and findings by GMRT. So one thing GMRT does is it tries to identify regions of atomic hydrogen in smaller galaxies. And these are potential star-forming regions. These are the regions that you need to look out where new stars are going to be formed. And eventually, because of that, new planets also. So these are interesting regions. A very interesting discovery, according to me, is the farthest radio galaxy was discovered by GMRT very recently.
And how far? You're talking
It is
about
about
12 billion
12 billion
light
light
years.
years. Yes.
12 billion light years away, and this was discovered by this set of these GMRT telescopes.
And it made use of one of these feeds. We were observing at 150 megahertz. And it is a fairly low frequency radio wave. And the galaxy was so far away that it emitted a very, very weak signal. So GMRT is now upgraded and well equipped to amplify and analyze these signals and eventually make sense of these signals to identify it as a galaxy.
And what we saw in the image there are these 30 dishes.
Beautifully synchronized dishes. 30 such antennas work in unison to observe one object, and the data of these individual dishes is put together using a technique called interferometry, and then all of that data is combined in a central processing center, which is at Khodan. And the building over there is a zoomed view of the central processing area.
So friends, this is right in Maharashtra, just about maybe 100 to 100 kilometers from 70-80 kilometers from Pune. Okay, thanks Dr. Atharva. Thanks for great information. Thank you. And here we have Sujal with us, and he's going to explain, what model he and his team has made here. Okay, Sujal, over to you.
Hello, this is the model of Pragyan rover, Vikram lander. Vikram lander is here and Pragyan rover is here. So, it's electrically operated by remote. And it has a camera that broadcasts the whole sequence at the laptop.
So the model also has a camera.
Yes, model also has a camera.
And you have a setup here where you are going to simulate that.
So it's a it's a nav cam, navigation cam. So just like Chandrayaan 3, we have it on our model. You can see it. And we use the same protocol just like the Chandrayaan 3 does that. So it's a demonstration, you can see.
So he's demonstrating now.
It's moving. And you can see the live output here.
So even here, they have simulated the moon surface here, and the rover moves on that, and this model, model has a camera, and which is connected here to the system, and it's showing. So now, Sujal, you show what you want to show here on the screen as well.
Yes.
All right, doesn't matter. So basically, idea is that school students, college students, and even laypersons like me should understand what has actually happened, what have scientists done, and how they are able to monitor different things. Okay, good, Sujal.
Yes.
Thanks for the information. Friends, what we have just seen in this block is about Mangalyaan, and Devashish here has earlier explained to the other members in Marathi maybe, but what he meant to say was that whatever was supposed to be done by this Mangalyaan, ISRO and India in turn has achieved. And so what were you telling about the future perspectives on Mangalyaan?
So we are going to send a more advanced version of Mangalyaan 1, Mangalyaan 2. So it would just stay there for more time and would be more efficient. And maybe maybe Mangalyaan 3 might be a lander and rover.
Okay.
Just like
Okay.
Vikram and Pragyan.
Okay.
We land on Mars and study its surface.
Okay, so just like Chandrayaan 3,
Yes.
you will have rover
Yes,
coming out of Mangalyaan. So isn't it great, friends, that India has done such rapid strides? So okay, thanks Devashish.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. What is most important, friends, here is that there is something called Citizen Science Initiative. So here, even general public, amateur, common folks can join a lot of initiatives in astronomy. For example, here Dr. Anand Hota is a research scientist and astronomer, and he has established something called a RAD at home in India, and a lot of students, people can join him for various initiatives. Okay. Similarly, you have a citizens science with Pune Knowledge Cluster, PKC, which is in fact which is being looked after by Dr. Atharva. We met him earlier. Okay. So any of you want more information, you can probably make use of this slide. For students, this gives great perspective about careers in astronomy. So it's not just just a study or a self-study, but there are so many careers available in astronomy. And for more details, in fact, you can get in touch with the experts at Jyotirvidya Parisamstha. At the end, last but not the least, this is about Jyotirvidya Parisamstha, who have organized this great exhibition in such a small space, done very concise, a great compilation of all the events in India, right from 500 BC till now. And for more information, any of you can probably go to the website or note down these contacts and get in touch with Jyotirvidya Parisamstha. Okay, thanks for watching this clip, and we hope that you will find it useful.